Spoilers ahead. Watch out, and take care. The movie begins in a dystopian world, where most of the human race has been wiped out by a deadly disease, upon the dawn of a new dark age. John watches helplessly as Stone threatens to kill his wife Amelia, if he doesn't give up information concerning 500 infected people, who escaped from a village. John tells Stone that he doesn't know where they are, and begs him to let Amelia go. He even begs Stone to kill him instead, but Stone refuses, and shoots Amelia in the head. Later, John wakes up from a nightmare, in a cabin in the woods. After a day of chopping wood, dragging logs, and performing powerful deadlifts, he spends the night reading and drinking alone by a small fire. In his solitude, he has a flashback. He remembers when Stone and his men executed some infected people in cold blood. When he tries to stop the men, he is simply restrained, and labeled a traitor, before he's knocked out. Next, while John is still taking some stiff shots of alcohol, he has another flashback. He remembers when Stone tried to explain, he killed Amelia because she was infected, which is according to the rules of this new society. John argues that Amelia wasn't infected, and that they should test her to make sure, but Stone reveals she was tested. However, it appears that she passed the test because, as Stone claims, those tests are unreliable anyways, and that he'd rather rely on his God, when considering these things. John asks him how many innocent people will die for his agenda, but he changes the subject, telling John that he is going to be examined, because he's immune to the disease. Maybe he can help save some people. Later, John is held by captives who tell him to cheer up, as they lead him to the examination room. However, once they get into the room, he incapacitates a doctor, trying to escape. But then he's blocked by Stone. John attacks Stone, and cuts him with a sharp blade, before running off. As John attempts his escape, Stone orders his men to contain him, but John beats them all up, and escapes. Back to the present, John becomes wary as he sits by a campfire. His wariness proves accurate, because an injured woman appears from the woods, and asks him to help her hide, before passing out. After John checks on her, he carries her into his cabin. The next day, the woman wakes up frightened of her unfamiliar surroundings, but John promises her that he isn't going to hurt her. Instead, he informs her that her wound is infected, so he has to remove the bullet. After giving some alcohol for the pain, he prepares her for the extraction. Before he removes the bullet, she asks him for his name, and asks him if he's a doctor. When he doesn't ask her name, she tells him her name is Maria, and he removes the bullet. He is alarmed to find a military-grade tracking device on the bullet, and asks who's after her, but she passes out from the pain. This is when John notices barcodes on her wrist. Sometime later, Maria wakes up, so she joins John outside, as he chops the wood. He tells her she can only stay with him for a few days, because he wants to live in peace. In a flashback, it's revealed that John was a soldier who had seen a lot of action. When he snaps out of his malaise, he finds Maria attempting to chop some wood, so he sends her in, to rest her wounds. Later, as he chops wood, some soldiers, who don't recognize John, arrive at the cabin, and ask him if he has seen Maria. They tell him she's infected, but he denies seeing anyone. He invites him to search the place. But when they oblige him, he kills 2 of them. Then he hears a gunshot inside the cabin. When he runs inside, he discovers that Maria has killed the last soldier, with his gun. Afterwards, she finds him arranging his arsenal, so she speculates that he's no ordinary lumberjack. He replies he's only trying to prepare for war, while praying for peace. She asks him what's next, but he tells her she's the one who should know. She expresses her eagerness to help, so he gives her a mop to clean up the mess they created. As she cleans the blood, she cuts herself. When she searches for bandages in the bathroom, she finds an empty bottle, which gives her an idea. Elsewhere, Granite and Dr. Feldspat, 2 of Stone's officers, wonder where the mercenaries sent to retrieve Maria are, while some of the other mercenaries train nearby. Feldspat speculates that those mercenaries are dead, because they're easily disposable. He suggests they send another squad to find out what's going on, but this only infuriates Granite. She interrupts the training session, beating up the mercenaries. When their trainer asks her to stop, she parades the trainer, telling him to train the men better, before stomping off. Back at the cabin, a frustrated John asks Maria how she found him. But all she can remember is wandering through the woods, after getting shot. She fears more soldiers are on their way. He confirms her fears, telling her about the tracking device. She asks him if he wants her to leave, so he tells her she can stay. He tells her that the soldiers told him that she was infected, but she tells him it's a long story. He then reveals that the people looking for her were the ones who killed Amelia. Still haunted by his wife's death, he tells Maria that she'll be safe with him. She holds him, but all he can think of is Amelia. He thinks back to the time when Amelia brought him some cake, while he was working. They were very much in love with each other. The next day, Maria stands guard, while John builds a barricade. She notices he isn't afraid. He tells her fear isn't real, unlike pain and death. She tells him love and life are real too, but he replies love and life end, but death is forever, and walks off. Later, he continues his preparations for the attack, constructing the cabin's defenses. At night, Maria reveals that there's a cure to the virus, and Stone is desperate to get to it, so he can control the remaining humans. John asks why she's telling him this, and she reveals that she has a cure in her blood. All he sees in this though, is that she has brought hell to his solitude. He tries to walk away from the fight, but she begs him to help her fight, so that she can get the cure to the people, but he ignores her, and leaves her by the fire. The next day, she finds him cleaning his gun, in preparation for the fight. He asks her how she learned to shoot, so she reveals that she learned while surviving on her own, robbing people, before she was arrested. While in prison, she survived the virus, while it killed the other prisoners, and this revealed her immunity. John reveals he figured she was a jailbird, because of her tattoos. He trains her to shoot and aim for the kill. Sometime later, more mercenaries approach their cabin. After one of them, Dennis jokes around, claiming John is some sort of Timberman boogeyman. They decide to kill John, and split the bounty put on Maria. Meanwhile, John, who is watching out with Maria, goes into an outhouse, while she carves a steak outside. The mercenaries follow John into the outhouse, only to open the doors and discover an ambush. He kills two of them, while the third makes Maria his hostage. He's helpless as John kills him with his bow and arrow. After piling up the bodies, John tells Maria there's only one road leading up to the cabin, and they have 30 minutes before the others show up. This proves true, as mercenaries prepare their attack. Maria asks John how they will stop them, so he shows her his extensive arsenal. After getting the weapons ready, they see each other naked, taking turns in the shower. They finalize their preparations, wearing some Nordic face paint. Maria acknowledges how much of a bad man John is. He doesn't care, and tells her to fetch some water, because some people are going to burn tonight. Unfortunately, as she fetches the water, she's ambushed by Feldspat and his men. After confirming Maria is their target, Feldspat reports back to Stone. However, before anything can be decided, John shows up, and kills the mercenaries. But they're unable to stop Feldspat from escaping, and they head back to the cabin, while Feldspat calls for backup. Stone is irritated by John's assaults, and instructs Feldspat to kill John, without harming Maria. Meanwhile, John and Maria kill off the remaining mercenaries. Back at Stone's base, Stone coordinates the siege of John's cabin. His instructions are simple: kill John, and apprehend Maria. However, the instructions are easier said than done. John and Maria clean the house, which leaves Stone incredulous at John's proficiency. John and Maria stab, burn and shoot any mercenaries inside. When they're done, he tells her they need to get rid of all the bodies, so they can scare their enemies. Stone rages at the fact that he's lost so many men. He sends his team out to find out how many people died. However, the search party only finds Maria and John armed, and ready to kill. After killing this set of mercenaries, John goes out hunting for the rest of the mercenaries. At the base, Stone and his men plan an ambush by a tunnel. Back in the woods, Feldspat takes on John, while Maria hides a bottle in a bush. Moments later, she's ambushed by some mercenaries. Amazingly, she takes them all down, and kills them all by herself. Feldspat defeats John, before heading out to Maria. While this is going on, Maria gets shot by a mercenary. She's unaware that Feldspat is coming for her. Luckily, John wakes up and heads to Maria. Feldspat abducts Maria, and heads back to Stone, while John searches for them. At the base, Stone tries to rally his men, but a mercenary interrupts him, telling him Feldspat is on his way with Maria. Stone kills the man for interrupting his speech. However, Feldspat gets interrupted by John in the tunnels, which leads to a fight. Stone sends more men to kill John. After a grueling battle, John kills Feldspat, and runs away from the approaching mercenaries. Despite their best efforts to fight off the mercenaries, and escape, John is shot. They manage to hide away from the mercenaries in a hidden room. John tells Maria to stay there, while he faces them, although she protests she doesn't want to live without him. He implores her to stay behind, while he faces the mercenaries alone, and manages to escape from the tunnels, but his injuries are too much for him to continue. Worse, Stone and his men ambush him at the end of the tunnel. Stone is amazed when he realizes that it's John who's causing all this trouble. When they reunite, it's revealed John and Stone are brothers. Stone changed his name, because he always thought his former last name sounded weak. Moreover, he hated their father, who always favored John over him. Stone asks John for Maria's whereabouts, but John tells him he killed her. Stone calls his bluff, because John could never kill an innocent person, and unleashes his mercenaries on John, so he could spill the truth. But despite the beating, he holds his tongue. Frustrated at his strong will, Stone orders his men to kill him. John calls Stone a coward, and challenges him to a fight to the death. Despite his injuries, John rallies to come out on top, and beat Stone down. Stone grabs a gun, and threatens to shoot John, but strangely enough, he's incapable of pulling the trigger. This leads to a struggle for the gun, which ends when the gun goes off, and Stone slumps to his death. In the aftermath, Granite thanks John for saving her the trouble of killing Stone. She had plans to do it herself, before she kills him. Maria then appears with grenades, and tells them to leave John alone. She makes a deal to go with them, if they free John. Granite agrees, so they take her away, while John watches. As the chopper flies away, John swears he'll find her. The mercenaries celebrate the fact they have the cure, which means that they have the power to set the new world order, because they are now in control of the future, a new era. They take away Maria's grenades as they head north, unaware that she left 3 vials of her blood with John, along with instructions to give it to the people, who can develop a cure and save humanity. The end. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this. Turn on the notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out.